Yes, you are in the main room, the one we are
Main
currently.
room. Okay, all right.
Just also mention, if you're unable to join any breakout room and you want to be added to any room, please just comment on the chat. One of our team member will definitely add you to the room.
Please, can I go ahead?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Muideen Dele Adewale, and on behalf of my co-author, Dr. Amina Sambu Magaji, I'm delighted to be here at IndabaX Nigeria 2026 to share this work carried out at Agentic Empowerment Foundation in Abuja with you. What we set out to answer is a question that I think sits right at the heart of this conference. When we talk about artificial intelligence and startups, are we really talking about a collection of helpful tools? Or is there something more fundamental we could be building? Today, our paper argues it is the latter, and I want to show you exactly what that looks like. So let's get into it. This is the presentation outline. This is how the next few minutes are going to go. We'll move quickly through its sections. Each section has one or two things I really want us to take away, and I will make sure those lands clearly. The spine of the talk is this. We'll talk about the problem, evidence for the solution itself, and then what we think the community should do next. Everything else answer that. Introduction. So the problem we're trying to solve with this, our work, and I want to start here with something concrete because I think it is something many of us will recognize. If you have worked with or inside a technology startup, you would know the rhythm. The rhythm is that you find yourself in an environment where you are moving fast, you are resource constrained, and you are constantly making decisions with incomplete information. So the typical response to that kind of pressure has been to reach for AI tools. Maybe a dashboard there, a code assistant there, maybe a generative content tool, and each of those things is genuinely useful. But here is the issue. All these tools are disconnected. They don't talk to each other. They don't remember what happened last month. And the activities that matter most, deciding which hypothesis to test next, knowing when to pivot, staying compliant as you scale. So those are largely still done manually. The second problem compounds the first because there's no persistent memory across experiments. Startups repeat the same costly mistakes after every pivot. The institutional learning just evaporates. So our proposition is this. What if we stopped treating AI as a toolkit and started treating it as a co-founder, not a tool that does one job well, but a persistent, goal-directed operating system that augments the founder's ability across every dimension of running the venture. That shift from silo tools to an integrated operating system, from focusing on the AI adoption to focusing on the quality of the founder AI decision loop, is what our paper, our work has solved. So that is what the AIVC, Agentic AI as venture co-founder, is all about. Literature review. To build the AIVC on solid ground, we reviewed the literature across 4 streams: AI in entrepreneurship, AI in lean experimentation, human AI teaming, and responsible AI governance. We screened 188 papers down to 19 through a structured Prisma protocol, and you will see that flow in a moment. What the synthesis revealed was 3 significant gaps that no single power framework had addressed together. First, existing work treats AI capabilities as districts. There is no integrated operating system architecture. Second, governance shows up in the literature as a risk list or a compliance principle, never as something embedded operationally inside the experimentation loop itself. And third, the boundary conditions, things like data sparsity, founder AI literacy, and regulatory intensity are acknowledged but almost never operationalized as measurable moderators. So those 3 gaps are exactly what the AIVC that we have come up with is designed to fulfill. Moving on, the methodological approach. I want to put a quick word on method because it matters for how we interpret everything that follows. This is a conceptual theory building and design science paper, which is the phase 1 of a 4-phase research program that we're currently undergoing. For phase 1 is which is what we are seeing today, integrates the 4 literature streams that I've mentioned earlier on and specifies the architecture. Phase 2 will be the prototype development. Phase 3 is comparative case studies. And then phase 4 is simulation and stress testing. We want to be transparent. All 4 of our propositions are hypotheses. We are not claiming empirical evidence today. What we are claiming is a rigorously specified framework and a technical architecture that is concrete enough to build from. And that's the contribution of a phase 1 design science paper that I'm presenting today. Now let's talk about the findings and conceptual synthesis. Now we are at the heart of the AIVC framework itself. We propose 5 interlocking capability bundles: sensing agents, continuously monitor market signals, regulatory shifts, and internal telemetry; experimentation agents, translate founder hypothesis into experiment briefs, run multi-arm bandit portfolios, and trigger pivot or persevere recommendations. Decision agents aggregate all of that evidence and are explicitly designed around human override policies. The human stays in the loop. Governance agents embody what we call governance by design, enforcing data minimization, consent checks, and immutable audit logging in line with every single agent call, not as an afterthought. And then we have venture memory that provides a structured persistent knowledge base, an experiment registry, a concept graph, a decision log that survives across pivots. So the startup doesn't start from zero every time it changes direction. So these 5 bundles work together to shape 4 measurable outcomes through 4 mediating mechanisms. Those mediating mechanisms are learning velocity, decision quality under uncertainty, execution reliability, and trust and legitimacy within investors and regulators. And critically, the technical architectures specifies these all the way down to model classes, APIs, and latency budgets across 3 development tiers. Tier 1 runs for under $200 a month. That's not aspirational. That's a design constraint we set from the beginning. Now discussion. Now let me share what I think is probably the most practically important insights in the paper, and then I'll be honest about where things can go wrong. The governance bus, the layer that intercepts every intelligent message and apply compliance checks inline, adds at most 3 to 5 milliseconds of latency per call. 3 to 5 milliseconds. That's a near zero performance cost for a layer that can materially reduce your ethics depth by the time you get to a Series A fundraising conversation. We're arguing governance is not a constraint on speed, it is a strategic asset. We also highlight synthetic market rehearsal, using clearly labeled simulated customer segment to stress test pricing and onboarding policies before you spend real money. This is particularly relevant in African markets where digital advertising budgets are constrained and A and B testing infrastructure is limited. But I want to be upfront about the failure conditions, because a framework that doesn't acknowledge its own risk is not worth much. 4 things can go wrong. The prediction paradox, over-reliance on AI rules, the founder's own ability to handle situations the system wasn't trained for. Automation bias. Founders who interact with AIVC that were proposing daily start rubber stamping its recommendations without real review. Hallucination propagation. A causal claim generated by the LLM that is wrong gets stored in venture memory and then retrieved and compounded across future decisions. And state governance rule sets, if you don't update them, harmful data processing can pass through silently. It depends on alignment between the system design and the specific venture context. So those are the risks. Now I'm talking about the future work and limitations of the study. Now let me share what I think is probably the most practically important insights. We have 3 research questions that we have come up with. So 4 research questions that we have come up with that will be the basis of what our future work will be based on. Those 4 research questions are: how may agentic AI operationalize lean startup learning loops as a venture co-founder? And then the research question 2 is: which AIVC bundle most strongly predict learning velocity and decision quality? And then the third research question is: what governance by design mechanism converts AI use into scalable strategic capability? Then we have the fourth question, which is: when does AIVC accelerate traction and when does it amplify hallucination or ethics depth? So our future research agenda will be to answer these 4 research questions. And of course, those boundary conditions that we've specified, they will be empirically validated in future work. Now let's talk about the contribution to knowledge. Conceptually, the AIVC shift the unit of analysis because prior work focuses on AI adoption. How many tools does the startup use? How often? We focus on the quality of the founder AI decision loop. That's a fundamentally different lens, and it changes what we measure and what we optimize for. Technically, we provide a full agent layer specification, model classes, primary APIs, latency budgets, and principal failure modes for each of the 5 agents that this AIVC is based on. This is not a diagram with arrows. It's a reproducible specification that a team could use to begin a prototype as we speak. Empirically, we derive 4 operationalized propositions. The first proposition is connect experimentation agents maturity to learning velocity, measured as validated hypothesis per $10,000 of burn. Then the second one is it connects human override combined with causal validation to decision quality. Then the third one is it connects governance by design to lower ethics depth at Series A conversation. And then connect venture memory to faster product market fits after a pivot. And practically, the maturity model, we have 6 levels from 0 AI to a fully audited AIVC operating systems. This gives any founder a way to locate where they are today and a clear path to where they need to be. It is accessible from day one, even at the resource level typical of early stage African startups. So conclusively, the core claim of this paper is not that AI is useful for startup. That is not new. The claim is that the dominant paradigm, which is treating AI as a collection of siloed productivity tools, leave the most consequential decisions unaugmented and leaves the organization without memory. And we think we can do better. The AIVC proposes treating AI as a persistent, auditable co-founder, 5 bundles, 5 agents working together, governed by design, with memory that survives pivots, available at under $200 a month for startups in Lagos, London, Toronto, or Lima, as the case may be. in any of the low resource constraint environments. 3 things to remember. AI as an operating system, not a toolkit. Governance as strategy, not overhead. And incremental adoption. You don't need to implement the whole thing on day one. We are genuinely excited about the research agenda ahead, and we would love to talk with anyone in this room who may be working in adjacent spaces. Thank you all very much for your time. These are the selected references used for the work. Thank you once again. I'm happy to take questions. If you would like to follow up after the session, please reach out via the email on screen, info@sheandted.com. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That was a great presentation. Please, do we have any questions for him? Any questions? Please, do you have any questions? All right. Thank you so much for your brief presentation. We'll be moving on to the next person. Please, do we have Ogboni Emmanuel Obi? Ogbonia Emmanuel on the call, please.